If you've decided that 2022 is going to be even better than 2021, there's some things you need to stop doing right now. Today, we're talking about the 2 things you need to cancel completely in 2022 to actually have your best year ever. Hey there, my friends. If I had to guess, I bet you have a goal to either lose weight, to improve your health somehow, maybe to start or grow your business, to write a book, to improve relationships, or to finally leave that job that drains you of all life and energy. But let's be real, life can sometimes get in the way, because there's always like the work projects that end up taking more time than they're supposed to. Of course, fast food is more easy and convenient than cooking yourself after a long day of work. And of course, you can't leave the job because of the great benefits that you have and the vacation time that you've accrued. Or maybe you tell yourself that you're going to get started once the kids are off to school, or once you earn that degree or certificate or save enough money. Maybe you're one of those first of people like I am. You know how it is. I'll start at the first of the year, or I'll start at the first of the week, or the first of the month. One of those, right? But let's just get rid of all of that. Let's change all of that for you and for me today, right now. Here are my top 2 mistakes, beliefs, misconceptions, whatever you want to call them, that are derailing you from making actual progress towards your goals. These are the things that we're just going to cancel in 2022. We're just not going to do it anymore. And the number 1 thing is people pleasing, not saying no. A people pleaser is someone who has an emotional need to please or try to make other people happy, even at the expense of their own feelings, even at the expense of their own happiness, and at the expense of their own needs. I think people pleasing is very widespread, because there's just a really fine line in between paying attention to and noticing someone else's needs and feelings and doing that while also denying your own needs and feelings. So for people pleasers, it almost feels like selfishness when you're not doing it, when you're not people pleasing, when you aren't putting other people's feelings and needs before your own. It starts to feel like you're being selfish. But let me tell you why this is a problem, or one of the reasons it's a problem. First of all, it assumes that you are responsible for, or you're the cause of other people's feelings to begin with. When you change your actions or you change your words in order to make someone else happy, you do so because you believe that your actions or your words are the cause of their feelings, or are the cause of their happiness or unhappiness. The truth is, it's that person's thoughts. It's their own thoughts about what you did or didn't do, what you said or didn't say, that's creating their feelings. None of us, my friend, none of us are that powerful. None of us have the power to make anyone feel anything. So you can just go ahead and release yourself from that pressure now. Now, what this doesn't mean is that you just get to start bulldozing over people and not considering other people's feelings with your actions. You do that, you consider how your actions and your words affect other people, but you don't build your whole life around only doing things that will make other people happy. Which brings me to the second reason that people pleasing is problematic. It's a problem because it's a setup. People pleasing will burn you out. It will create exhaustion. It's going to create frustration. And eventually what ends up happening is that you start to be resentful and unhappy in your own life because you feel like you were always at the mercy of someone else's feelings or someone else's needs. You will feel totally disempowered because every decision that you make considers everyone else before you. So I hear it all the time, especially in ambitious women. There is a level of this self-inflicted guilt that happens when you are driven to pursue your career or to grow your business. The people pleasing shows up in multiple ways. It will show up in your yeses and in your nos. You will end up saying yes to your boss or to employees when you really want to say no and create a boundary. You will say yes to your husband and kids when you really just need a moment to yourself. You need time to just focus on you, but the people pleaser in you will not allow it. It will tell you over and over again that what they need in that moment always supersedes your needs. It will tell you that you are always regulated to the back burner, to later, to another time, to after everyone else is taken care of and happy. Resentment comes when you continually deny yourself and that deepest God-given desire, those deepest desires of your heart in order to make someone else happy. It's what creates bitterness because you've regulated your whole future to someone else's mood for the day. One of my favorite songs, there's a song, it's called Give Us Your Heart by William McDowell. It's a gospel song and he's a gospel artist, and it has this line in one of his songs, in this particular song, that is so powerful to me. In this song, he says, I don't want to get to heaven with my life on full of visions unrealized, full of dreams unrealized, full of songs, full of businesses that could have changed the world. This is what happens to so many people, y'all. We've all seen people who lived their lives trying to do what everybody else wants them to do. We've all heard of people who get to the end of their life with so many regrets. What would it look like for you to get to the end of your life empty, having given all of the love, all of the support, all of the ideas, all of the strategies, everything you've been given away? The only way to do that is to continually make sure that you're not neglecting and abandoning yourself, not putting yourself last in every single scenario. You've heard it before, you'll hear it again. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill your cup first before you can fill that of other people. So this is how I want you to begin to cancel people pleasing. Understanding that this is completely normal for us as humans to want to make other people happy, to want to be around other people, for other people to be happy with us is part of our DNA. Nobody wants to be put on the back burner. Nobody wants to be put out of the group. Human beings were created for community and for connection. And so anytime we feel like there is a threat to that, or a chance that we're going to be exiled from the community or from the group, we spring into action and try to prevent that, which is the whole root of people pleasing. We don't want to be rejected. I want you to start first by acknowledging your own worth. Outside of any of the titles that you have, any of the degrees, any amount of money you have or you don't have in the bank, or any achievements that you made or ones that you failed at, you are worthy just because you're here. If you're here, there is a purpose for you being here, and that alone makes you worthy. For some people, that's the most difficult thing to do. That is the most difficult step, to acknowledge their own worthiness, their own importance. For some people, they're going to go ahead and disqualify themselves based on their past or based on where they are now versus where they think they should be. So if that's you, start with acknowledging your own self-worth, not tied to anything outside of you, just based on the fact that you are a living, breathing human being that has something to offer to the world. This can be so subtle and sneaky, but if you don't think you deserve or that others are somehow more deserving than you are, you're going to always put other people's needs first and your needs in last place. I want you to practice thinking these thoughts. And I want you to choose the one, or choose all of them, but choose the ones that you can believe right now, that you can believe to be true right now where you are today. The first thought is, my needs matter. My needs matter. They are just as important as everyone else's needs. The second thought is, I am allowed to and deserve to be able to express my feelings and my truth without fear of repercussion. The third is, I am worthy just as I am. Now, if you can't get to that one, if that one does not feel true for you right now, it's okay. Just start with, it's possible that I'm worthy, and work your way up from there. Start from where you are. Then ask yourself these things, these 3 questions, or these questions before you agree to do anything else. Before you say yes to anybody else, I want you to ask first, by saying yes to this person, to this situation, to this option, what or who am I saying no to? The second question, am I basing my answer on what I think or how I think that they're going to respond? The second question, am I basing my answer on how I think they will respond? Asking yourself, what do I think will happen if I don't agree to this, is going to give you a huge clue and unlock your thoughts about other people's responses. The third question, if I were to be true to myself in this moment, what would I say? What would my answer be if I were to be honest about how I'm feeling right now? The second thing we're canceling in 2022 is avoiding change because of fear. If you notice yourself avoiding doing anything differently or making changes, it's likely due to fear of the unknown. Our brains are designed for efficiency, and the most efficient thing that we can do, the most efficient state we can be in, is to continue in a known pattern, a comfortable pattern, which means doing what you've always done the way that you've always done it. And anytime you set out to do anything different, your brain is going to go into freak out mode. It starts sending out all kind of warning signs and signals that something is off. And that somewhere, somehow, it's dangerous. There's a danger ahead. This is what most people use as their signal. This is what most people use to determine whether or not they stop or whether or not they go forward. Most people use fear as the determining factor of whether or not they should keep going on with the dream or the goal. To change requires a stretch. It requires your brain to think in new, sometimes really uncomfortable ways. The comfort that comes from even uncomfortable situations is that we're used to knowing what the outcome is. We know what the outcome is already, and so it feels comfortable. Have you ever heard someone say, I'd rather deal with the devil I know? This sentiment comes from the certainty that even in a bad situation, that it's safer to deal with a known, predictable outcome versus an unknown one. One of the reasons this is a problem is that when you avoid making changes in any area of your life, you rob yourself of the growth that comes from stretching yourself in new situations of uncertainty. Uncertainty seems scary because with it comes a loss of control. And you know we don't like not being in control. It's an unknown outcome. The other reason avoiding change is problematic are the reasons you're avoiding it to begin with. The reasons you don't want to do it in the first place. First of all, fear of failure and fear of rejection are so widespread and rampant. You don't like being bad at things. Nobody does. You don't like starting something where you aren't already certain, positive, that you know how to perform and you know how to win and you know how to be successful at it. The fear of potential failure keeps you stuck in inaction. The problem, though, is not in the potential failure itself. It is in what you will make it mean when and if you fail. Most people make failure mean something really terrible about themselves. They make it mean something so negative. So think about it. If you make failure mean something crappy and terrible about yourself and you beat yourself up about it, doesn't it make sense that your brain is going to want to avoid any possible potential situation where failure might be the result? It's going to do that at all costs, right? Then there is fear of rejection. If you worry about what other people are going to say, what other people are going to think when you start pursuing something that is new or different or never been done before, you're going to be stuck. If you walk around waiting for everyone to support you and cheer you on, you will never do anything. Here's what I want you to do instead. I want you to ask yourself these questions, more questions, when you start out doing anything new. Number one, if I weren't afraid of what people would say or what they think, or if I weren't afraid of failure, would I still do this? Number two, what is the worst thing that can happen? This is an important question because our brains just automatically want to avoid thinking about the worst case scenario. We don't want to go there. Not at least in any great detail. We don't like thinking about the worst case scenario. We anticipate it. We always think, oh, the worst is going to happen, but we never want to push past that, and we definitely don't want to think about it. So what we want to do is push past to uncover what we might actually do if that situation happens. The reason this is important is because you want to be able to help your brain realize that you already have a solution for the worst case scenario if it actually happened. So ask yourself, if the worst case scenario became a reality, what would you do? And you got to answer the question. You have to answer yourself. Push past your brain's initial, I don't know, and come up with an actual solution. This way, anytime your brain tries to play you and tries to throw the worst case scenario out at you as a way to stop you, you don't have to try to avoid it. You don't have to try to put in the work to try to not think certain thoughts. You just get to simply say, yes, it is possible that this is going to happen, but if that happened, this is what I would do. Boom, done, right? And then you can move forward. The third question that I really love is, so what? What I see in so many ambitious women is that they are fearful of putting themselves out there. They feel like they're going to be judged negatively in some way anytime they set out to do anything different or new, or just anytime, period. We feel like there's going to be judgment. And there's this fear of people thinking, well, who does she think she is? Or they might think that people are not going to like them, or they're not going to like what they say, or any of those things. Y'all know all the thoughts that we have anytime we set out to do anything. And the quickest way to dismantle and overcome this is to just acknowledge that all of that is true. All of that is absolutely true. All the thoughts that you think people are going to think about you, somebody probably is going to think that. When you put yourself out there, not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to agree with you. Somebody is going to think that you're selling too much, or that you don't know what you're talking about, or that you're stuck up, or that you're too confident. Somebody's going to think all of those things. Somebody's going to think that you're not qualified, or that you're overqualified, or that whatever thoughts you have, somebody is going to think. There is no doubt in this world filled with billions of people that at some point, at least one of them is going to think something negative and bad about you. But there are also people, and probably a whole lot more, that really are going to love you, that really need to hear your message, that really need what you have to offer, that have been waiting for you to show up with the solution to their problem, or to be the example of how to overcome their problem. Now all you have to do is ask yourself, so what? So what if people don't like me? Will I focus on those people, or will I focus on those people who really need to hear what I have to say, or who really need what I have to offer? Whatever your answer is, you got to lean into that. Of course, it won't feel good when someone disagrees with you, or when someone doesn't support you, but do you want to put your whole life on hold because of that? Or do you want to show up as the best version of yourself, offering the highest contribution you can to this world, no matter what that is? Which do you rather want to do? So let's do a quick recap. Today we covered two things, just two things. We're canceling many things in 2022, but we just went over two of them today: people pleasing and avoiding change because of fear. I gave you 3 positive affirmations to practice thinking on purpose as a part of your people pleasing rehab. And then I gave you 3 questions you can ask before you say yes to anything or anybody again. And then we talked about avoiding change because of fear. And I gave you 3 questions I want you to ask yourself and answer as you begin writing out your New Year's resolutions or your goals for 2022, or however you do it, however you plan for your future. Listen, let's all really make 2022 the best year ever. I mean, no more of this like talking about it's going to be the best year ever, 2022 is my year. No more talking about it, but really putting that into action, really making that true. You can't be a dangerous woman as a people pleaser. You can't be a dangerous woman if you're busy avoiding discomfort at all costs. Let this be the year that you do all the things that you've been saying all along that you really wanted to do. Now, before I leave you, one more question. And I want you to really think about this. And I want you to journal about it. If you don't have a journal, get a journal. We journal over here. What would your life look like? What would your life look like if you canceled out people pleasing and you canceled avoiding doing things and avoiding change in 2022? Answer that question. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't already downloaded the Dangerous Woman Manifesto, this is your declaration. This is a declaration of your intentions. It's a playlist of who you are becoming every single day and how you're going to operate as a dangerous woman. I want you to print that thing out. I want you to put it on your mirror, put it in your closet, make it the background for your telephone, whatever. I want you to see this thing every single day until it just becomes who you are. You can find that in the notes for this show, or you can find it by clicking the link in the bio on my social media platforms, or you can find it on my website. I'm sure it's somewhere down in the notes below. Find it, print it, live it. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you soon.